everybody and welcome to week 4 of lockdown 2. So this is our last week in lockdown and I'm very happy to be starting back in class this coming Wednesday, the 2nd of December. So I have sent out messages to you all, so you should all have heard from me by now about which weeks you're coming in, which group you're in. So I will look forward to seeing you all very soon. We've got a couple of weeks before we break for Christmas. So enjoy today's class and I'll see you all soon. Hi everybody and welcome to your general level Pilates class. Please make sure you've got all your equipment ready. So we'll get started. Standing tall, your legs and your feet. Hip distance, your hip sockets down to your feet. And just checking there that your toes are pointing forward. So just make that check, toes forwards, make sure that your feet aren't turning out to the side. If that's your tendency, it's so easy for you to do that without realising. So this is why it is important that you're just having that look down, checking that your toes are pointing forwards. You know then that your hips are in the right place. So just relaxing your shoulders now. We'll start with focus on breath and just closing your eyes to help you focus. We're taking a deep breath in through your nose, blowing out through your mouth. And again, deep breath in through your nose, blowing out through your mouth. So we're just going to take some time to focus on the breath. And you might prefer to just take your hands, wrap them around the base of your ribcage so that you can feel for your breath. And remembering we're not working with normal breathing, and it is important that you're working with these wide, full breaths to get the oxygen around your body into your muscles so that they can move and work in the right way. So the breathing is a really important part of what we're working with in Pilates, and it is worth just taking the time to settle into the breath and to really get yourself ready for the movements. So continuing with your breath, we're now engaging into the deep lying abdominals. Starting a contraction through your pelvic floor, we're taking a breath in. So you breathe out, so drawing up on your pelvic floor. You're bringing your connection then up into the deep lying abdominals and feeling that you're engaging into that whole corset of muscle wrapping around you, and those muscles connecting directly into your spine. And this is why they are so important for your spine and your lower back. When you're making this connection into your core, really do try and go through the pelvic floor because it does make for a better connection. It's been proven that it does make for a better connection into your core muscles rather than you just pulling your belly button in towards your spine, for example. So that's why we always go through the pelvic floor, because by going through the pelvic floor, you know that you are engaging the right muscles and that you're engaging them to the right level, i.e. making sure you're not pulling them in too hard. So it's drawing up on the pelvic floor into deep lying abdominals. You're just switching on those muscles and you're maintaining that low level contraction all the way through. So maintain that hold, we're staying with your breath. So ready now to check through your posture, so we're setting up your correct posture. So just check your shoulders are down, they're away from your ears. We're going to start off with your neck and your head. So remembering you always need to feel your way into your neck posture. A lot of what we do in Pilates is feeling for what's happening. So feel for that stretch in the back, feel for the lengthening up from your crown. Your chin needs to be parallel with the floor, and invariably your chin needs to be lower than you think it needs to be. We're now gently lifting your shoulders up towards your ears. We're then rolling your shoulders back. We're sliding your shoulder blades down your back and holding them there. So checking out, can you really feel that connection into your mid-back? And you do need to feel for it. So make sure you really can feel the drawing down your shoulder blades, because if you can't feel that, you're probably here. your chest stretch now, so arms behind your back or interlacing your fingers. And hopefully by now, all of you are taking this chest stretch regularly. Make it part of your day to day. It's such an important movement, and you can do it anywhere as well. It's really, really important because not only does it work on stretching out what tend to be tight muscles in all of us over the front of the shoulders, but it also really helps you to reset and recheck your posture. So you take your stretch and you feel the stretch over the front of the shoulders. You then release your arms, and that's where you need to be, the correct posture on the shoulder girdle. And it probably still feels exaggerated. It will probably always feel exaggerated, and this is why it is so important that you are taking this stretch, because you probably wouldn't ordinarily place your arms this far back, but this is where they need to be. So just feel now for what's happening to your shoulder girdle. Can you feel the drawing down your rib cage? And this is one thing we do tend to forget about. So make sure you don't allow the ribs to flare out, otherwise this tends to happen. So you do need to make sure you've got that drawing down your ribs down towards your hips. You can feel that you're drawing the shoulder blades down your back, and then it's just a check for where your hands are. Little fingers running down the seams of your trousers, and you know then that your shoulders are in the right place. Try and keep an eye on where your hands are in your day to day. If you find yourself here, you know that you're rounded through your shoulders, you're inwardly rotating your shoulders. So your hands will always indicate where your shoulders are. We're now checking on the curve for your lower back. So we're settling into your neutral spine. We're taking a tilt of your pelvis forward. We're then tilting back, and from there we're settling into the centre. And remembering, if your tendency is to arch your lower back, you will need to exaggerate it up under. And it does need to feel really exaggerated. So it needs to really feel like you're pushing your hips forward and scooping your abdominals right into your spine. It needs to feel like hard work. We're now working down to your legs, remembering to take that softness through the knees. So checking out, are you locking out your knees? If you are, you're locking out your lower back as well. So always keeping that softness through the knees. You're working down to your feet, and you're checking there now, is your body weight equal into both legs and feet? So this is a really, really important one. It's really quite a simple check to make, but it does make a really big difference. So try and be aware about where your weight is into your feet when you are standing, also when you're walking, and don't forget when you're sitting, and that's a really, really important one. When you're sitting, make sure you check your weight into your feet, and make sure you check your weight underneath you into your sit bones. So making sure that you're not putting more weight down one cheek than the other. So remembering we're always working for a level, stable pelvis. And if you're putting more weight down one leg than the other, your pelvis is going to be off, it's going to be out of its neutral alignment. And if your pelvis is out of neutral, your lower back is as well. So really quite a simple check to make that can make a really big difference. So next time you're sitting, check your weight into your feet, check your weight underneath you. The next time you get into the car, for example, feel for what's happening. Are you putting more weight down one side than the other? Always make sure you're equally balanced. Your weight is equally distributed underneath you and into your feet. We're going back to the hook attached to your crown. So imagine you're being pulled and pulled and pulled up by the hook. So you're just feeling yourself getting taller and taller. And try and visualise this in your day-to-day as well. We're constantly working on lengthening out your spine, always being as tall as you can be. So maintain that posture, focusing back on your Pilates breathing. You're engaging into your deep lying abdominals, and we're taking some movement now around your shoulders. So on your next breath in, bring your shoulders up towards your ears. Blowing out, rolling your shoulders, shoulder blades down your back, and continuing with your movement. So aim to increase this range of movement little bit by bit. Aiming eventually to take both arms up over your head and to continue around from there. And feel that you are really stretching right up through your arms, your hands, your fingers, your fingertips, keeping that stretch, that reach going all the way through. So really try and take the movement as tall and as wide as you can, as wide a range of movement as you can get through your shoulders. And remembering it is really important we're taking all our joints to their full range of movement. So for your joints to be mobile and healthy and moving and working as they should, it is important that you're taking them through their range of movement on a regular basis. And we don't tend to do that with the shoulders, we don't tend to do it with the hips either. So try and build this one into your day to day. When you're ready, we'll move this into balance. So opening your eyes now, fixing your gaze, bend through the knees, breathe in, we'll sweeping the arms up, you gently lifting the heels, breathing out, drawing the shoulders back, taking the heels down. And remember, when you do come back into class, you will need to stay on your mat for this one. So whereas prior to lockdown you could come off your mat, you need to stay on your mat when you're in class so that we're all maintaining social distance basically. You're all maintaining your 2 metres distance. So what you might want to do if you're coming off the mat now, and I know I've come off the mat, but that's only because I want to try and get the whole of me into the picture, the camera. If that's you might want to think about coming back onto your mat now and practising on your mat, ready for coming back into class. It is more challenging working on the mat. It will challenge your balance further. And I know a couple of you said that you feel that your balance has actually improved just because of that, because you've been doing these balances on the mat, or you've been doing them on your carpet at home in your living room. So we'll make this one your last one. You're back to start position, shaking it all out, so ankles and the feet are shake. Going back to that chest stretch, you will always come back to this, and you can't overdo it on this stretch. Just work it in as much as you can. That on your last one, releasing your arms, and ready now to mobilise these few vertebrae in your neck. So we're coming into nods. When you're ready, get your breath in. So you breathe out, so nodding the chin down towards your chest. Hold in there to breathe in. Your 2 movements now in one. So you breathe out, you need to push it into the back of your neck with the pull up from the crown. So we're going to stay here to take a few of these movements. And remember, every movement you make in Pilates needs to be a conscious movement. You need to think about how you're moving, being careful that you're never just going through the motions. So when you're coming back up here, try and visualise all those vertebrae in your neck, stacking directly one over the next, and also visualise that you're creating some space between those vertebrae. And remember, it's those 2 movements at the same time. It's the push back with the pull up. It's not a push back and then a pull up. You're pushing back and you're lengthening up to the crown at the same time. So for your last few now, just opening your eyes. With your eyes open, just check your line of vision. So are you looking directly ahead, or are you looking slightly upwards? And how does that compare to a day-to-day? So just be really, really aware about how you're placing your neck. What can you see? And if you know that you tend to be stiff into your neck, please try and incorporate these neck exercises into your everyday. You need to be doing them every day. We'll make this next one now your last one. Slowly back up, your shoulders relaxed. So today we're going to take some rotational movement through the neck. And remember, any movement through the neck need to be done nice and gently, nice and slowly. So make sure you don't move too quickly. Check in on your shoulders, where are they? And be careful with this one that you don't start to turn the upper body. So if you don't have enough rotational movement in those vertebrae in your neck, when you want to turn your head, you will tend to then start moving into the upper back in order to turn your head to where you want to see. So you need to watch out for that. The spine, the body will always compensate for lack of movement. So if you don't have enough movement in the neck, the upper back then will start to rotate so that you can turn your head to where you want to turn it to. So even if you feel that you're only going round a small way, that's fine. The main thing is that you are actually rotating the vertebrae in your neck. So make sure you've got your chin parallel with the floor. We'll start to your left, shoulders facing forward, hips facing forwards. Breath in as you breathe out, slowly, carefully turn your head to your left. You go to your furthest point. When you get there, you're going to ease that right shoulder back. And you might feel in doing that, you're able to get a little bit further around. Breathe in and come through centre. Make sure you don't lift the chin. And as you breathe out, we're over to the other side. To your furthest point, just ease that left shoulder back. You might be finding a difference from one side to the other. Just noticing that difference. Breathe in and coming back to centre. We're going to do one, maybe two more to each side. So you do need to take your time with this one, because it's not just about rotating the neck and turning your head, but it's also about checking what the rest of your spine is doing and making sure your shoulders are staying facing forwards. We'll just do one more to each side. So there will be many times in your day where you're going to be rotating your neck, turning your head. So it's important that you're able to take that movement safely. So that'll be your last one. We'll finish off with your head to your right. You're back to centre, rolling your shoulders round. And now coming to stand at the end of your mat or behind your mat. So we're ready now to go into the roll down. And remembering, you've only taken this movement if your back is ready to do it. Please make sure you've taken your flat back as well before you do this roll down. So if you haven't done your flat back today, then please pause me now, go and do your flat back, stretch your back out first, and then come into your roll down. So if your back isn't ready to do this, please stay with your flat back, or if you can, roll down to the floor once, into all fours and into your cat stretch. Otherwise, what you can do, if you've got the movement through the knees, is to step forward, step back. You're keeping the spine upright all the way through. You lift up the back heel, you curtsy down, so you bend that front knee, bend the back knee, and then you just tuck that leg in. You come back onto your heels, walk your hands forward, and you're into all fours. So if you don't have any problems with the hips, you know your legs are in fully working order, but your back doesn't feel ready to roll down, then that might be an option for you to come down to the floor in that way. You would also then, once we've finished, because we finished with a roll back up, when we're ready to finish the class, you would basically do it in reverse, come into this position, tuck the toes under on the back leg, engage the core, and again using the legs, you push up, slide that forward, and you're back to standing. So ready for the roll down, it's full pelvic tilt, you scoop your arms to your spine. You remember, this should all be abdominal strength. Your back should just be coming along with this movement. So really focus on scooping in, and I always use that visualisation, I suppose, scooping in, because I really want it to be a really strong contraction here on the abdominals, and it is the more superficial abdominals you're bringing in from the pubic bone literally all the way up to the base of your rib cage. So focus on that. Again, be careful you don't just go through the motions. Full pelvic tilt, scoop your abs in, breath in as you breathe out, you're nodding the chin, so you're rolling your head down the front of your body. Be careful not to lean forward, and on your first one, if you don't feel ready to roll all the way down, that's fine. So roll down to where your spine wants to go, wherever that is. Hold it to take a breath in. Really hard work on your abdominals. As you breathe out, you need to push your hips forward, pushing knees forward, and you're slowly uncurling your spine. Think about stacking your vertebrae directly one over the next, shoulders, your neck, your head. Back up to standing, we're going to do the same thing again. So it's full pelvic tilt, make sure you get that tilt. Breath in as you breathe out, nodding the chin, slowly rolling your head down. So try and stay really close into yourself. Down to your furthest point. Hold it to breathe in. Hard work on the abdominals. As you breathe out, push your hips forward, push your knees forward. Slowly curling your spine, and make sure you're really using the mid and the upper abdominals here as well. We're going to make this one now your last one. So this time we're rolling down. We're just staying there, we're just hanging your spine. So once you're there, it's a gentle turn your head now side to side. So you're checking that your neck is relaxed. We're then allowing your head to just hang down to the floor. So the weight of the head drawing down the spine, and really good for your spine to just hang. So we're going to stay here for a few breaths. If you feel that you need to bring your blue block over for some height for the arms, please go ahead and do that. So remember, if your hands aren't touching the floor just now, they're barely touching the floor, is then you pull on the lower back, your neck, your shoulders. Please bring over your blue block, just give yourself some height. So back to centre. If you're ready to, now I'm going to move this into a gentle sway. So gently swaying forward into your toes, back into your heels, just gently there forwards and back. So this is just a really nice posture for the spine. So it really just allows the spine to open out. Particularly good for those areas that tend to get compressed, particularly your lower back and your neck. So it works really well to just gently open out those areas. Just a really nice posture for the spine. So this one, your last one. Back to your start position, just check your weight into your feet. So keeping your chin tucked in, I'm going to walk your hands forward now to your mat. Knees are coming down one at a time. We're in tall forwards position. So just checking you're sat up once you're there. Wrists under shoulders, your knees under your hips. So just check now that your shoulders are down, they're away from your ears. Drawing your shoulder blades down your back. And we're drawing up on your pelvic floor. So we're going to take this to your downward dog stretch. Make sure you have got good grip underneath your feet. So if you're wearing socks just now, please take your socks off. Because if you've got your socks on, you might slip in this exercise, and also you probably won't get as effective a stretch if you're working with socks on. So you really do need to get that grip through the feet into the mat, and bare feet are ideal. If not, then your grippy socks, your grippy yoga or Pilates socks if you don't like bare feet, but definitely not ordinary socks. So join up on your pelvic floor, breathe in, we're tucking the toes under. So you breathe out, we're pushing up with your hips, your head's just hanging down to the floor. Then taking your feet a little bit further back. We're now bringing a real deep bend into your knees. So with this one, really just take some time now to focus on stretching out your spine. So you don't want to stretch out your legs just yet. Your focus needs to be on your spine. So really bend your knees, draw the knees towards the chest or the chest towards the knees, and go ahead then and push your hips right up towards the ceiling. Again, really focusing on creating some space between those vertebrae. Check that your head is just hanging to the floor. So ready now to move on. Breathe in, come up to your toes. We'll take your feet a few inches further back, drawing up on your pelvic floor and ready for foot pedals. Breath in as you breathe out, we're taking a bend through the right knee as you bring your left heel down towards the floor. Breathe in, you're up to toes, breathing out to change. So starting this pedaling movement through the ankles and the feet. And remember to work at your own pace, nice and slowly, being careful you're not working too quickly. So remember, if you're working too quickly, you will tend to get more of a half stretch on your calf. So really take your time to ease the heel down towards the floor and to get your full stretch. So we're using this to warm up your calves, to stretch out your calves, warming up your thighs, mobilising your ankles, your feet, your toes. So this one on your last one. We're going to finish off with a bend to your left knee. Breathe in, you're up to your toes, your heels are lifted. Without lowering your heels now, easing your hips up towards the ceiling. So the stretch on your hamstrings goes upwards. Breath in, breathe out, take the heels down. And again, breathe in up to toes, heels are lifted. Breathe out, easing the hips up. Breath in, breathe out, taking the heels down. Got one more. So really good stretch for your body. Ready now to release, breathe in, up to toes, drain up on pelvic floor. As you breathe out, body weight forward over the arms, bending your knees, slowly lowering down, well done. Once you're there, back onto your heels now, stretching the arms out and releasing your wrists, your palms up, your palms down. And just taking some time now for you to do whatever you feel you need to do to release your hands, your wrists, your fingers after that last movement. So you might feel that you want to rotate your wrists, you might want to massage your hands, massage your wrists. Whatever you feel you need to do, then please just do that. So the movement can feel quite heavy into your wrists, but remembering your weight bearing benefits there for your upper body. When you're ready, bring your palms back to the mat. Ready now to release your shoulders. You might prefer some support here underneath the forehead. Bring the arms around your fingers, touching the heels. When you're ready, you just allow your arms to relax to your sides with your palms up. We're taking a stretch now over the wrists. A breath in. As you breathe out, kind the palms up towards your head. Breathe in to release. And again, breathe out, kind the palms up. Breathe in to release. We're staying here to take two more. Really good stretch for your wrists. That'll be your last one. Relaxing your hands, relaxing your wrists. We're now just going to take the arms out a little bit wider, and we're going to take a few breaths now in this posture. Taking a deep breath in through your nose, blowing out through your mouth. And if you're not very comfortable in that position, your alternative is to lower down to your forearms with your forehead just resting down on your hands. Or if you do have another different position in which you feel even more comfortable in again, then please just feel free to go into that one. The main thing is that right now you're feeling comfortable. So we're focusing back on Pilates breath. A deep breath in, blowing out. So as you're breathing, we're checking that your shoulders are completely relaxed. If your shoulders don't feel completely relaxed in that position, please adjust the placement of your arms until they do. We're checking out for any remaining areas of tension. So just scanning from your head to your feet. And if you're finding any, just allowing those areas to relax. So remembering to take your body scan in your day to day, where you're scanning from your head to your feet, you're checking for any areas of tension. So if you find any, you can go ahead then and release that tension before it starts to build up in your body. Ready now to stretch out your chest, your shoulders, taking the arms behind your back, interlacing your fingers, rolling right up onto the top of your head, stretching your arms up. If you're not very comfortable there, then up into kneeling, just do your stretching kneeling instead. That's your last one, releasing your arms. Bring the arms around, so pushing back to all fours. And as always now, we're just going to take some time to focus on your spine and to work on helping to release any remaining areas of tension down your back. So check you have got your set up, wrists under shoulders, your knees under your hips. You need to feel for the placement of your neck. So feel for that stretch at the back, lengthening up to the crown, slight tuck in of your chin, and then just double check your placement by checking your line of vision, and that should be exactly midway between your hands. So closing your eyes out, visualising your lower back, and we're taking movements into that part of the spine only for now. So your movement's really small. Taking a breath in to prepare. As you breathe out, using your lower abdominals, just pulling your tail forwards. Breathe in to go back to neutral spine. And again, breathe out, you're just pulling the tail forward. Breathe in to go back to neutral spine. We're going to stay here to take a few of those movements, and please just focus on what's happening through the back. Make sure you can feel you drawing your shoulder blades down your back. So when we went back to class after lockdown, There were a few of you that when we did this exercise in class after lockdown, you weren't engaging your shoulder blades down your back. So, and also you were starting to move into the mid-back. So this is why you really do need to get the focus on all of your movements, making sure that you're always working the right muscles. So feel now for what's happening to your mid-back. Can you still feel that you're drawing your shoulder blades down your back? If you can't, then you're probably round into the mid-back. So what we're aiming to do here is to isolate the lumbar vertebra. So that's particularly important for you if you know that you tend to be stiff into your lower back. So once you're sure you've got your lower back moving, we'll bring this up then into the rest of the spine, full cat stretch, making sure you don't start by pushing up into your mid-back. Remember, that's particularly important for you if you've got osteopenia or osteoporosis. And when you think about using the abdominals, so when you're ready, you breath in to prepare. So you breathe out, you're pulling the tail forward, you're drawing the head towards the tail. So draw the two now closer and closer in towards each other. Make sure you've drawn your head as close to the tail as you can before you move on. Hold in here to breathe in. As you breathe out, you're sitting back towards your heels, and this is the part of the movement that works really well to help release any tension down your back. Breath in. As you breathe out, you slowly back up, so keeping that scooping in. Breath in. As you breathe out, you're lowering down, you're pushing through the tail. Head back into line with the spine, shoulders relaxed, shoulder blades engaged. We're doing the same thing again from the base of your spine. Breath in. As you breathe out, you're pulling the tail forward, drawing the head towards the tail. And again, drawing the two closer and closer in towards each other. Breath in. As you breathe out, you're sitting back towards your heels, stretching out your back. Check that your head is just hanging to the floor. Breath in. As you breathe out, you slowly back up, so keeping that scooping in. Breath in. As you breathe out, you're lowering down, you're pushing through the tail. Head back into line with the spine, shoulders relaxed, shoulder blades engaged. We're going to stay here to take one more of this movement, working at your own pace. So it's a really good spine mobility exercise. Really good move for helping to release any remaining areas of tension down your back. So easing back then to a neutral spine, you're back to your start position. So from here we're going to come to standing. So we're tucking the toes under, walking your hands to your knees, pushing up onto your toes, walking your hands to your toes, pushing down to the heels, knees are bent, head just hanging to the floor. So get ready now to uncurl your spine, and remembering it's your abdominals that should be doing the work. So when you're ready, breath in. As you breathe out, push your hips forward, push your knees forward, slowly uncurling your spine. So coming up to standing. And once you're there now, we're going to move into some rotation for the mid-back, working into those deep spine rotator muscles, crossing your arms over your chest like so, or if you prefer, you can take fingertips onto the shoulders, or you can take this Cossack position. It's really up to you and what's most comfortable for your arms. The main thing is that you're getting that rotation through the mid-back. So, when you're taking this movement, the hips need to stay facing forwards. If you do have osteopenia or osteoporosis, please allow your hips to come along with you like so. Okay, otherwise we're keeping the hips facing forwards. Still imagine the hook attached to your crown, keep tall all the way through. The tendency is to kind of sink down to the movement a bit. So really feel that you're lengthening through the spine throughout. Nice and soft through the knees, make sure you're not here. Make sure you're not locking out your knees, so just nice and soft. Engaging your core, we'll start over to your left. Breath in to prepare. So you breathe out very slowly, carefully, rotate your spine and really feel those muscles in the mid-back, those deep spine rotator muscles. So don't force any movement. Take your breath in at your furthest point. So you breathe out, slowly come back to centre. Breathe in at centre. Breathing out over to the other side. Might well feel like you're hardly turning at all, and that's fine. So to your furthest point. Breath in as you breathe out, slowly back to centre. And again, breath in. As you breathe out, rotate. So important that you are maintaining rotation for your spine. Breath in. As you breathe out, so come back to centre. Breath in, breathe out, we're over to the other side. Keep your hips facing forwards. Slowly back to centre, well done. Once you're there, roll the shoulders round. We're going to take a mid-back stretch now to help release after that movement. So interlace the fingers, make sure you do get a full pelvic tilt here. Make sure you don't lean forward, and that is the tendency. So full pelvic tilt, don't lean forward. Breath in as you breathe out, push into your back, push into your hands, keep on pushing into your back, keep on pushing into your hands. Really nice stretch this one for the mid-back. Then your last one, and slow coming back up to standing. Ready now to take a lat stretch. I'm going to move back a little bit. So we're going to take the left arm up over your head. Hip distance or a bit wider if you prefer. Nice and soft through the knees. If you do prefer to do this one in sitting on your blue block, please go ahead and do that. So take a deep breath in and extend. So stretch your spine up as high as you can. Breath in, and as you breathe out, up and over now into your stretch. And as you go over, just think about easing that left hip down towards the floor. Your head just goes, and keep on stretching the hand up towards the ceiling, easing that left hip down towards the floor. Releasing now on the in-breath, so deep breath in, come up, back up to centre. Breathing out, we're changing over, so stretch right up now as you breathe in, so deep breath in. As you breathe out, up and over into your stretch, easing that right hip down towards the floor, right hand up towards the ceiling, head just goes. Make sure you're not rotating forward, so imagine you're in between two panes of glass. Releasing now, breathing up tall through the spine, releasing the arm, well done. Rolling the shoulders round, and we're moving on now to your dart in standing. Of course, if you prefer to do this one in lying down, please come into lying down. Back to the hands are facing forwards, shoulders are down, and this is where your focus should be, the mid-back. So make sure you've got your ribs drawn right down. We're engaging the core, taking your breath in to prepare, and as you breathe out, you start by drawing your shoulder blades in. You then draw your shoulders back as far as you can. Make sure the ribs are drawing down. Drawing the shoulder blades even closer in towards each other. And breathe in to go back to your start position. And again, breathe out, draw the shoulder blades in, draw your shoulders back. Shoulder blades closer in towards each other. Breathe in to go back to your start position. So we're going to stay here now to take a few of these movements. And it is quite challenging when you're doing this one in standing, because you also need to make sure you're maintaining correct posture, and you don't have to worry about that if you're doing the movements on the floor, because you're just placed. But when you're in standing, if you don't focus on maintaining correct posture, it's so easy when you draw the shoulders back for this to happen, because you're not drawing the rib cage down. It's also quite easy for that to happen, overarching the lower back. So you need to make sure, if that's your tendency, that you are tucked right under with the tailbone. And it really is whichever movement works best for you here. So if you feel that you get a more effective exercise doing it in standing, then obviously do it in standing. If you feel that you get a stronger, more effective exercise doing it in lying down, please come into lying down. And I know that does vary for you, for the people that come into my classes. I think more of you than not will say it feels stronger in standing. Probably about 90% of you will say that this feels stronger for you than lying down. But there are that 10% of you as well that feel it's stronger for you lying down. So if you feel it's stronger lying down, you prefer to do it in lying down, please just go ahead and do that. And of course that's what we do in class as well. And I just try and mix it up really, so that we do, 1 week standing, 1 week lying down, but it is whichever works for you, and obviously feel free to do whichever one works best for you. So this one, your last one. So in your last one, if you're ready, we're into a hold. So drawing the shoulder blades in, we're drawing your shoulders back. And as you're drawing your shoulders back, also try and draw your shoulder blades right down your back. So I think last week's video I did this movement in lying down. So if you're not sure about the movement in lying down, you want to explore that, then just click into last week's class and give it a go. That'll be your last one. Back to your start position. Again, we're going to take a mid-back stretch, interlacing the fingers, full pelvic tilt. Breath in as you breathe out, push into your back, push into your hands. Keep on pushing into your back, keep on pushing into your hands. And your last one, slowly back up to standing, well done. Roll the shoulders round. So back to your start position. And we're going to move on now to focus on some quad strength in standing. We're coming into standing squats. If you would prefer to do a different exercise, so if you experience any discomfort with your knees, for example, when you do this one, then your alternatives are as follows. Rolling down into the hanging squat, checking that your knees are tracking around the second toe. So this is one of your alternatives. Or you can come down to the mat, and we did this last week, up into kneeling and it's your knee hinges. Tucking the toe right under. You also get a stretch over the front of the hips doing this one. Or if you've got the strength, then it's all fours, knee hovers, so toes under, and you do need to make sure you've got the core strength to do this one. You're hovering the knees paper width away from the mat, making sure that you don't lose it on the mid-back. So a few alternatives there for you if you need an alternative. So we're going to grab your ball, your squashy ball, rolling down just far enough now to place that between your knees, and then you're coming back up. And feel free to adjust the placement of the ball, by the way. So if you feel that you prefer the ball to be higher, you prefer it to be lower, that is absolutely fine. Basically, we're using the ball to help maintain correct placement, correct alignment of the legs in the movement. So it's standing squats. You do need to make sure you get this one just right. There's two parts to the movement. We started off with a hip hinge, then it's a knee bend. We're just going to break that down to recap on the technique. So one hand in front of the pelvis, one hand behind. And there shouldn't be any change in shape to your spine here. So you maintain neutral throughout. When you go into this hip hinge, you need to make sure you're not looking ahead. So this is how not to do it. So if you're looking ahead, you can see that I'm pinching those vertebrae now in my neck. If you're not sure about this one, please stay standing, have a look at the camera, have a look at me first, because you do need to get this one just right. So engage in the core. So ready for the first part of the movement. Your hip hinge, breath in, so you breathe out, you're hinging forward. You will feel like you're sticking your bottom out. Line your vision down towards the floor. Breath in, and as you breathe out, you back up. And again, breath in as you breathe out, hinging forward, looking at the floor. Breath in as you breathe out, you back up. So make sure as well when you do this, if you just have a look at me for a sec, when you're taking that hip hinge, make sure you don't do this. It's not a flat back. And you do see that happening in class. So make sure you don't come into a flat back. You do need to be diagonal from the crown of your head to your tail. And it's not that it's wrong as such coming into flat back, but it just means that you basically won't get as strong a workout for the thighs, for your quads, as you will when you're in that diagonal placement, crown of the head to the tail. So second part of the movement now is the knee bend. So it's hip hinge, then it's your knee bend. You sit down into the squat. I'm just going to move my arms so you can see my spine. So you're focusing now on glutes, taking a breath in, and as you breathe out, focus on your glutes. You're going to push those down through the heels and come back up to standing. Spine stays in neutral throughout. And again, breath in as you breathe out, hip hinge, knee bend into the squat. Breath in, breathe out, use your glutes, push down through the heels, back up to standing. If you're not sure about this one at all, if you're in doubt as to any part of that movement, and obviously I'm not there to check you and correct you, then please choose another one. So if you're quite confident with the movement so far, then we'll go into the full movement. Release your arms, and if you're not sure about this one, again, please just stay watching me. For now, taking your breath in as you breathe out, hip hinge, knee bend into the squat. You float your arms up, we're aiming to be diagonal from the fingertips to the tail. Breath in as you breathe out, push down through the heels, use your glutes, slowly back up. Strong through the midsection throughout. Breath in as you breathe out, hip hinge, knee bend into the squat. Breath in, breathe out, you're coming back up. So we'll continue here to take a few of these movements. So basically, everything between your arms and your legs needs to stay still. Make sure that you are working your core throughout, and really try and get your arms in line with your ears. So really think about taking them quite far back. So if this is challenging you enough, please just stay with that. If you're ready to, we're going to move on, and if you're not sure, please have a look at this first. I'll coach you through your breathing all the way through. You're taking a breath in. As you breathe out, you sit down into your squat. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, you're rolling forward onto the toes. Breathe in to lower your right heel down towards the floor. Breathe out to bring it back up. Breathe in to lower the left heel down towards the floor. Breathe out to bring it back up. Breathe in, both heels go down. Breathe out, you're pushing back up. You should feel that that's really quite a bit more challenging now on the quads than it was before. So we're going to do a couple more. Breath in as you breathe out, hip hinge, knee bend into the squat. Try and sit nice and deeply into the squat. Take your breath in. As you breathe out, roll forward onto your toes. Breathe in to lower your right heel down an inch. Breathe out to bring it back up. Breathe in to lower the left heel down an inch. Breathe out to bring it back up. Breathe in, both heels go down. Breathe out, slowly come back up. So what can you feel there on your quads just now on a scale of 0 to 10? 0 being you can't feel anything, 10 being it's really strong. What can you feel just now on your quads? We're going to do another set. Breath in as you breathe out, hip hinge, knee bend into the squat. Breath in as you breathe out, roll forward. Breathe in to lower your right heel down towards the floor. Breathe out to bring it back up. Breathe in, left heel goes down. Breathe out to bring it back up. Breathe in, both heels down. Breathe out to push back up. You're doing really, really well. We've got one more. Breath in as you breathe out, hip hinge, knee bend into the squat. Breath in as you breathe out, roll forward onto your toes. Breathe in to lower the right heel down an inch. Breathe out to bring it back up. You can do this. Breathe in, left heel goes down. Breathe out, bring it back up. Hold it. Try and take your arms a bit further back. Keep holding it here. We've got one more breath. And if you're ready to, try and come back up now to standing with your heels lifted. Breath in as you breathe out. Push, push, push. Back up. Heels come down and releasing your arms. Well done, everyone. How did that go on that last bit if you did it with your heels lifted? It's really challenging, isn't it, on balance? Well done, everyone. So we're going to roll down, take that ball away. So you can just place that off to your side for now. Just shake out your legs, just come back to posture. Back to your chest stretch. And we're going to move on now to quad stretching standing. If you do need to hold on to anything, please go ahead and do that. The main thing is that you're getting the stretch into the right area. So if you're focusing, really trying, working so hard on balancing that you're not really getting effective stretch, please just hold on to something and get a good stretch. So we're going to balance on your right leg, bend through the left knee, reach around, taking a hold on the front of the foot. And when you're in position here, you need to tuck your tail right under, and you want your knees to be together. You want them to be in line. So you need to watch out for this. So you don't want to be here, because if you're here, you're not going to get much of a stretch over the quads. And we are going to get some stretch into hip flexor here as well. So really try and get the knees level. Also, lift up your breastbone. So if you think about drawing the foot in towards your buttock and at the same time lifting up the breastbone, you should really feel an increase in that stretch when you do that. Supporting knee is soft. Make sure the shoulders are back. That on your last one, releasing that leg. Just pedal through your feet to help release. And ready to change over. So balancing on your left leg, a bend through the right, reaching around, taking a hold on the front of the foot. So once you're there, you're going to make sure you're not just standing holding onto your foot, but really thinking about the stretch and how you're placing yourself. So you want your knees to be level. Again, make sure you're not here. So draw that knee right back. Work hard with that glute, that right glute to tuck the tail under. So drawing your foot now towards your buttock and at the same time lifting up the breastbone and drawing your shoulders back. And you will feel an increase in that stretch. So basically we're taking the insertion points further away from each other. That's it, and your last one. So releasing that leg, well done. Shake it all out, so ankles and the feet to shake. So we'll just take some movement now for the hips. We're doing quite a lot in standing today. So we're going to take some movement through the hips. The hips are an area that do tend to get less and less mobile as we get older. They can tend to stiffen up quite a bit. So important that we'll maintain good movement for the hips. If you do prefer to do this one in lying down, please go ahead and do it in lying down. I'm going to do it in standing. And if you know that you are stiff or starting to stiffen up around your hips, try and incorporate this one into your day-to-day. Hopefully it will work out better for you. Excuse me, I'm just itching my leg. Hopefully it will work out better for you doing it in standing than it will in lying down, just because it's easier. So the hips are facing forwards. We're going to balance on this right leg. So we're going to lift your legs to 90 degrees. Make sure you've got your core engaged. Breath in, and as you breathe out, we take the leg across your body, we tap it in front. Breath in, as you breathe out, we're lifting up the leg, outward rotation here for the hip. Make sure you're taking it round, we're tapping behind. The pelvis does come along, by the way. Breath in, as you breathe out, inward rotation now, so try and lift the leg as high as you can and just continue there, working at your own pace. I'm just going to talk to you as you're taking the movement. So you don't have to focus on keeping the hips facing forwards with this one. The pelvis will just come along with the movement. So obviously there's some balance involved. If you do feel that you want to take the arms out to the side, and that should help with your balance if you want to do that. We are aiming eventually to take that fully extended leg out behind, take a stretch on the calf. Breath in as you breathe out, take it nice and slow. Try not to lose your balance as I've just done there. And tapping in front, lifting up, taking a round, tap behind, extend your leg. Breath in as you breathe out. That's the tricky bit, that bringing it back in. If you have been able to take that extension behind you, it is really quite tricky then to come back. I think I'm actually better with it without my arms out to the side. We're going to make this your last one. Back to your start position, just pedal out your feet. So ready to change over, engaging your core, lifting your legs, so balancing on your left. Breath in as you breathe out, take the leg across, tap in front. Breath in as you breathe out, lift the leg up, take it all the way round, tap behind. Breath in as you breathe out, your inward rotation, tap in front. Breath in as you breathe out, take it around and tap behind. So a lot of standing work today. So if you did want to include some exercises into your day-to-day, these are perfect really, because you don't even have to get down onto your mat. You can do them in standing. So just take this to where it's comfortable for you, work within your range of movement. We'll make this one your last one. So can you feel a difference from one hip to the other. That'll be your last one. Come back to your start position, just pedal it out through the feet. And you might need to change the orientation of your mat now. We're just going to walk the feet out wide and really just work on encouraging that opening out of your hips. So walking the feet out wide, turning the toes out to about 30 degrees. We're just going to take a few plie squats here. It is more work on the quads. Make sure you don't do this when you go into it, you're not sticking your bottom out. So you need to keep the tail tucked, and we're sending the knees in line, in line over the toes. That's what we're aiming for anyway. So think about dropping the tailbone. Make sure you've got the shoulder girdle in place. Now I'm just feeling for the spine. So one hand in front of the pelvis, one hand behind. So tuck your tail under now as much as you can. Draw up on your pelvic floor. Keep it tall from the crown. Breath in as you breathe out. Sit down into your squat. Breath in, breathe out. Use your thighs slowly back up. And as you're coming back up, squeeze the glutes as well. Squeeze your bottom as tightly as you can. Breath in as you breathe out. Sit down into your squat. Breath in, breathe out, pushing back up. So we're going to stay here to work up to 10. So the quad should be nicely warmed up by now. Keep your spine upright, so make sure you don't lean forward. And again, we're really working on opening out the hips. So really think about pushing your knees back as you sit down to this squat. Push your knees back. So again, we're aiming for your knees to be tracking in line with your toes, your second toe. How is that feeling out on your quads? If you're ready to, we will take it to a hold. So come down to your squat, prayer position, hold it, tuck your tail under, breath in as you breathe out, sink down an inch. Breath in as you breathe out, sink down one more inch. You've got one more, you can do this. One more inch. Breath in as you breathe out, push up with the arms, come back to standing, draw the arms down and slowly then walking your feet back into hip distance. Well done, and just shaking it all out. Well done everyone. If you feel that you want to take another quad stretch, please go ahead and do that. You might just want to take a quick one there as I've just done. And then when you're ready, come to stand at the end of your mat or behind your mat. And we're going to take some strength work now, coming back to downward dog, to work downward dog to plank. And the plank is an excellent strength exercise. It basically works you from your head to your toes, and so many benefits from that movement. So you get your weight bearing exercise, you get your core strength exercise, and your resistance exercise. Obviously, if you feel it's too strong, then please don't feel you have to do it. So if you don't feel like doing the full plank, then just do what you can. Even if you bring your weight forward slightly, that's fine. If you want to stay, if you prefer to stay with downward dog, please just stay with your downward dog and have a good stretch. So full pelvic tilt, scoop your arms to your spine. Breath in as you breathe out, nodding the chin, slowly rolling your head down. So just hang your spine there. And once you're there, we're just going to walk your hands forward now to the mat. And we're not bringing the knees down just yet. We're going to take your feet now quite a few inches further back. And wherever you are on your feet, try and take them a little bit further back again. You always need to go further back than you think you need to go. So we're going to start off with downward dog. Breathing up to your toes, breathing out, taking the heels down. And again, breathing up to toes. Breathing out, taking the heels down. If you're ready, it's into plank now. So breathing up to your toes, roll up on your pelvic floor. So you breathe out, body weight forwards over the arms. Push down through the heels, you're into your plank. You might need to adjust the placement of your hands or your feet or both. So please make sure you have got correct placement. Breath in as you breathe out, push back to your downward dog. Draw your head towards your feet. Breathe in to come up to toes, breathing out, body weight forward, over the arms, push down through the heels. as you breathe out, push back to downward dog, draw your head towards your feet. So we're continuing here to take a few more, and this is a really nice combination. So this combination of stretch and strength. And again, your plank gives you so many benefits. So remembering it's really, really important that we're all taking regular weight bearing work for the arms. That's particularly important for you if you know you have osteopenia or osteoporosis. Weight bearing exercise is very, very important for you. So this is core strength exercise as well. We all need a good strong core to help support and to stabilise the lower back. And resistance exercise as well. And we're basically using our body weight here as resistance. So important that we're maintaining resistance exercise for the body. Particularly important after the age of 50 where we're losing muscle mass. So it's important that you're taking the time to build that strength back into your own body. You're making this one your last one. On your last one, if you're ready, we'll come into your plank and we're holding your plank. So try and hold it here now for up to 4 full Pilates breaths. And check in with your connections. So make sure you've got the connections to the mid-back, midsection, which is pelvic floor, glutes to 100% contraction, quads to 100% contraction. That's your last one. Pushing back to downward dog, draw your head towards your feet. Breathing up to toes, draw up on your pelvic floor. As you breathe out, body weight forward over the arms, bend in the knees. Slowly lowering down, well done. Right back onto your heels, stretching the arms out. The release then for your wrists, your palms up, your palms down. And again, just take your time to do whatever you feel you need to do to release your hands, your wrists, your fingers after that last movement. And then bring your palms back to the mat, pushing back up to all fours, and now bring your knees off to the side and around to the front, so you're sitting facing the front. So we'll take this today into seated hip stretch, and if you need to pop up onto your blue block, please do that. So it's your right leg in front of your left. Make sure your spine's upright. Any problems with this one? So if you've got any problems with your knees, for example, then your alternative is to come into lying down, right foot over the left knee, holding it there, and then if you're ready to, easing the legs in towards you. So that's your alternative if you need it. So hands are going to come onto the knees. Lift up your breastbone. We're taking a breath in. So you breathe out, we're nodding the chin, slowly rolling your head down. Just finding your place in the stretch. So we're just breathing into the stretch, a deep breath in, blowing out. Try as much as you can to relax into this posture. If you're ready to move on, and it's only if you're ready to breath in, and as you breathe out, bring the hands to the mat. If you're ready for now, we're going to lower down then to your forearms. So if you've gone from your hands to your forearms, and that feels really strong, please come back to your hands, or what you can do as an in-between progression is to just take a hold of your blue block, and instead of bringing the forearms to the mat, you take them onto your block. And it does work well as a halfway progression. If you're ready from there, we're stretching the arms out, walking the fingers away from you and pushing the backs of your hips down towards the floor. So this is an excellent stretch for the backs of your hips, your lower back. Particularly good for you if you know that your tendency is to arch your lower back. And your last one, breath in as you breathe out slowly, walking the hands into you, pushing into your back. Slowly uncurling your spine, shoulders, your neck, your head. Back up to sitting. Once you're there, we're changing legs, your left in front of your right. Hands to the knees. Breath in as you breathe out, nodding the chin, slowly rolling your head down. And again, just finding your place in the stretch. Excuse me. You ready from there? Breath in as you breathe out, bring your hands down to the mat. You ready from there? Lowering down to your forearms. Your next progression was stretching the arms out, walking the fingers away from you, pushing the backs of your hips down towards the floor. Your last one, breath in as you breathe out slowly, walking the hands into you, pushing into your back, uncurling your spine. So coming up to sitting, and we're coming into lying down now. We're going to take our usual stretches. Once we get there, we're then going to move on to abdominals, and we're going to finish off today with abdominals. So we're aiming to come up into an abdominal curl when we get there. And we're either going to place the ball between the knees, or if you're ready to move on, and you will, a lot of you will remember this movement from previous weeks. It's a progression into the ab curl, and we basically place the feet onto the ball. So you do need to be pretty strong into your core to be able to take that exercise. So obviously I'll talk you through when we get there, but you're going to need your squashy ball. You're either going to place it between the knees, or you're going to place your feet onto the ball. And if you know that you are able to place your feet onto the ball, and I know at least a couple of you are, off the top of my head, Colin from my Newton class and Alistair, you're both able to do that one really, really well. So just place that ball down by your feet, because it needs to be down there. So if you're not sure, obviously give it a try, feel for what's happening. If it feels too strong, you can always bring it back. So just place the ball off to your side. If you need any head support, make sure that's up there ready at the top of your mat. So down towards the end of your mat, excuse me, I think the dog might want to come down. Charlie! Oh, go back up again. Back up again. So if your back doesn't feel ready to roll down, please bring your knees off to the side, line your side and onto your back. Otherwise, rolling down, arms parallel, small tilt on the pelvis. Breath in as you breathe out, you're slowly rolling down, spine goes down, your head goes down. Once you're there, arms up over your head, you're stretching your legs out in front, so full body stretch, reaching the fingers away, reaching your toes away. We'll just take a few breaths here, a deep breath in, blowing out. So as you're breathing, just allowing your lower back to arch up a little bit higher into passive extension, if that's comfortable for you. If it doesn't feel very comfortable, please engage your core. Slide the heels into you one at a time, so your feet on the floor, your knees are bent. As you're breathing, we're just allowing the ribcage to open out, allowing your abdominals to relax. Relaxing off your midsection. When you feel that that's relaxed, try and relax it even further. So remember, when you're working on releasing tension, your muscles will still tend to hold on to some tension. So every time you breathe out, you feel that you're relaxing those muscles further each time. And it might be taking you a few more breaths until you feel that those muscles are completely relaxed. You might need to find a different placement now for your arms for you to feel more comfortable in that posture. So placing your arms wherever is most comfortable for you. We're now relaxing off your hips, relaxing off your legs. So just allow your legs to be relaxed and heavy. And we're just checking out for any remaining areas of tension from your head to your feet. And if you're finding any, then just allowing those areas to relax. before you start moving, re-engaging your core. Slowly bring your arms down, sliding the heels into one at a time. We're now hugging one knee into your chest, followed by the other, rolling the knees in and back, and again, rolling the knees in and back. So really nice stretch for your lower back. If you're ready, we'll take this to hamstring stretch while hugging the knees in. Stretching up your legs, take down drunk calves or heels. Breath in as you breathe out, easing legs in towards you and back. And again, easing legs in and back. Then your last one, bending your knees, your feet to the floor one at a time. Rotational stretch now, your arms out wide to your sides, ankles and knees together. Breath in as you breathe out, your knees go over to your right, turn your head to your left. Breath in as you breathe out, drum legs, spine, head back to centre. Breath in, breathe out, so over to the other side. Breath in as you breathe out, drum legs, spine, head back to centre. Now sliding your arms down by your sides. Hip distance on your legs and your feet. Excuse me a sec, the cat just wants to come in. Hello, Bobo. Come on then. Yeah, you can come in. So we're going to go into your abdominal curl, and if you know that you are able to work with the feet on the ball, then we're going to go straight into that. If you're not sure, but you do feel that your core strength is good, then give it a try, see how it feels. You can always come back to feet on the floor. So if you're working with your feet on the floor, one hand holding the ball, one hand behind your head, feet are glued into the floor, you're curling up, you're placing the ball between the knees. So wherever you're placing the ball, whether you're working with the ball underneath your feet or between the knees, it's the same movement. So we're going to start off with exactly the same movement to the legs. So Bobo's just going to have a look at this. Hi Bobby, what are you doing? So you either place the ball between the knees, so please do that if that's you. Otherwise, if the ball isn't down towards the feet, now roll it down towards the feet and just pick up the ball with one of your feet and then place the foot back down the floor. So we're going to place the hands now onto the lower abdomen so that you can basically feel for the strength of your core. So drawing up on your pelvic floor into your deep lying abdominals. So you'll know if this placement is right for you or not, because when you're placing that second foot, if you feel any doming or bulging of the abdominals underneath your hands, that's indicating that your work is too strong. So you've got your core engaged. Hopefully you can see my feet. You've got your core engaged. So we're placing one foot on the ball, pressing the lower back into the floor, and then you're placing the other foot onto the ball. So if as you place that foot onto the ball, you felt any doming or bulging underneath your hands, please now bring your feet to the floor, place the ball between the knees instead. If you are able to maintain the hold on the core with the feet on the ball, as you're going through the movement, please keep an eye on what's happening to the core. So hands down behind your head to support your head. Lengthen up the crown, slight tuck in of your chin. Draw up on your pelvic floor. Breath in as you breathe out, curling up, reaching forward, hands behind the backs, knees or the thighs. So you're here whether the feet on the floor or not. Breath in as you breathe out, you're stretching up one leg. Breathe in to bend the knee. Breathe out to change. And really try and move the upper body. So every time you stretch the leg up, you're pulling the chest right up to meet the big toe. Pulling the chest right up to meet the big toe. If you've got your feet on the ball and you're ready to move on, as you stretch up the leg, we're going to roll the ball away with the other foot. Breathe in, come back. Breathe out to change. So what we're aiming to do there, as you're rolling the ball away, is to basically get higher in the curl. So roll the ball away and roll it back into you. Roll the ball away, roll it back into you. Last progression, if you've got the feet on the ball, is to extend both legs. Breath in as you breathe out, just pull the ball in and then roll the ball away and extend the legs. Bend the knees, pull the ball back in. Roll the ball away, extend the legs. Draw it back in. So hopefully you are really feeling this on your upper abdominals. We'll take 2 more. This one, your last one. And one hand behind your head, slowly rolling down, well done. And bringing your feet off the ball if that's you, one at a time. Gentle turn your head side to side. Back to centre, well done everyone. We're going to hug the right knee into you now, sliding the left heel away from you, pointing down to your toes. And if you're ready to, left arm goes out wide to the side, right hand onto the inside of that right knee. Breath in, and as you breathe out, just ease it out to help open out the hip. Make sure you're not lifting the back of your left hip away from the mat. That in your last one, draw the leg back in, right foot to the floor, side of the left heel in, changing over, so hugging the left knee inside of the right heel away, extending the leg. Right arm goes out wide to the side, left hand onto the inside of your left knee. Breath in, and as you breathe out, ease the leg out to help open up the hip. If that feels uncomfortable in any way, please don't do it. That on your last one, slowly bring the leg back in, left foot to the floor, sliding the right heel in, and now ready to stretch out the back of the hip. So lifting your right leg to 90 degrees, left hand onto the outside of the right knee, straightening out the left leg. Breath in, as you breathe out, your leg goes over to your left, turn your head to your right. So really nice rotational stretch here for the spine. Really nice stretch for the back of your hip. That your last one. Breath in as you breathe out. Slowly roll the spine, the leg, the head. Back to your start position, right foot to the floor, side of the left heel in. When you're ready, lifting the left leg, right hand onto the outside of the left knee, straightening out your right leg. Breath in as you breathe out, your leg goes over to your right, turning your head to your left. Breath in as you breathe out, slowly round the spine, the leg, the head. Back to your start position, left foot to the floor, side of the right heel in. Arms out wide to your sides, and now choosing which way you're going to bring your legs over to. Breath in as you breathe out, knees over to the side. Bring the arm and the head over to the same side as your knees. So rolling over to all fours. And checking your setup once you're there. So wrists under shoulders, your knees under your hips. And now tucking your toes under, walking your hands to your knees, pushing up onto your toes. Walking your hands to your toes, pushing down through the heels. Knees are bent, head just hanging to the floor. So checking that you have got your hip distance on your feet. And remembering you need to use the abdominals to come back up. So breath in as you breathe out, push your hips forward, push your knees forward, slowly uncurl your spine. Make the abdominals do the work. Right up to standing. And once you're there, just check through your posture. So check your shoulders are down and away from your ears. Have a look down at your feet, check you've got your hip distance, toes are forward, remember that's softness through the knees, switching on your core, chest stretch, arms behind you, back interlace the fingers. Keep the shoulders where they are, releasing your hands, and try and get really tall now up from your crown, 2 more inches onto the height of your spine, and a few deep breaths with your arms, taking a deep breath in, taking the arms up, and blowing out. And again, deep breath in, blowing out. And last one, deep breath in, and blowing out. Thank you very much, everybody. Well done for today's session. So I look forward to seeing you all very soon back in class. So bye for now and see you all soon.